24 minutes to midday. It's time to talk movies, and I'm delighted to say Collie McFadgen joins me live in studio. You're making a bit of a habit of this, sir.
Well, that's it. This is 3 times in a month. People will talk.
Yeah.
And this time, I thought I breezed in. I managed to open the door by myself this time and not get lost.
Yeah, you're flying solo today. What's happened?
Well,
you're being trusted now to do everything yourself.
Yeah. I found my way to Letterkenny once. Now they think I know. I still managed to nearly get lost again, but hilltop, top of the hill.
Yeah,
halfway
you
down
can't
the hill.
really go wrong. So you don't need a chaperone from now on.
Oh, well, not for it. That's everything else in my life, almost certainly. And taking applications, just text it to Rory.
Yeah, no, don't. Really don't. Right. Right, so let's talk movies. We're into sort of summer blockbuster season now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes, we have one of the places I work with an older group who kind of come and see, more grown-up movies, and they meet for a coffee. A lot of them are retirees, and they just went to see a beautiful movie called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which is just leaving cinemas. That's the sort of movie that the sunshine kills. But they were really loved. It's all about, a girl who wants to grow up, and all the old people are going, don't grow up, there's no hurry. It's great fun being 11, and that's the whole point of the story. But they came out and they went, what'll we go and see next, Collie? And I was going, well, I don't think you're for Spider-Man. I don't think you're for Little Mermaid. I don't think you're for Transformers, because we are in full-on Hollywood summer blockbuster. And I suppose since we saw you last, I happen to know you've seen at least one of those blockbusters.
I have.
Yes.
I have.
And maybe not the one you would have picked off the top of your head. Would that be fair to say?
Not the one I envisaged myself going to see. That is true. But very enjoyable.
Yes, and it is The Little Mermaid. I know you were invited to a surprise screening in one of the cinemas.
Which was great. Yeah, it was brilliant.
And, it is great sometimes. This is the joy I get. A lot of the times, okay, I will know what the film is, but I see it before anyone else. I see it before the reviews, and you can just judge it on its own merits. And probably my favourite thing about my job is I see movies all the time that I would never have watched. I wouldn't have watched The Little Mermaid either. And yet I was sitting there, a big old fat 50-year-old, sitting there watching it going, God, I quite like these tunes. It's pretty good. She is great. I think I know we both agree on the guy who plays Sebastian the Crab.
Stole the show. Absolutely stole the show.
Funny, charming. I think Under the Sea is the best song anyway. And when you're watching it, there was a lot of fuss beforehand about it, and you just kind of go, why? What's the problem?
Yeah.
There's 2 things. One, yes, did the first one need to be remade? Probably not. And the cartoon, I think, there's something about cartoon animals will always make them better than sort of CGI. I think that is true. But the other thing is, say for your little girl and little girls everywhere, this will be their mermaid. In the same way, people who are in their 30s now, Ariel, the animated one was theirs. Because the one you go to see at cinema, again, I think we mentioned this last time, it's like our Doctor Who's.
Absolutely.
Right? People go, oh yeah, Doctor Who's not as good as it was. And you go, that's because you're not 10 anymore. It's not the same experience. It's not your first ever time you saw the Doctor change. And it's the same. I thought Little Mermaid was great. And I must do a plug as well for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Rory, because it's not just a good kids movie. It's not even just a good superhero movie. This is a great movie. This is going to be in my top 10 movies at the end of the year.
This is getting rave reviews everywhere.
It's so clever and fun and funny, but it's a proper movie too. And it
shouldn't be. It shouldn't.
No, it should be another. How many Spider-Man movies do we see?
Yeah.
And they've leaned into that instead of, here's another Spider-Man. We have thousands of Spider-Men and women, and I don't know what the Spider-Persons.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a really clever plot, and there's really likeable characters in it. And I think it's not a coincidence that Gwen Stacy, who's Spider-Woman in a different universe, they haven't made it just for the boys. They haven't made it just for the comic nerds. There's loads of in-jokes there in it. There's a joke about the old TV movies, 1978 movies, for people like me, which an 8-year-old is not going to get. But it doesn't matter. It's not, you don't have to be in the know to get the jokes.
Yeah.
And it's made by the people who made the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street, which are 2 movies that when I saw them coming up, I went, well, that's going to be rubbish anyway. And I was proved incredibly wrong.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most beautiful looking movies. And I know you said that you thought some of the CGI in The Little Mermaid wasn't brilliant. Would that be fair?
Yeah, well, I went a bit further than that. I said it was some of the best CGI I've seen and some of the worst. So in The Little Mermaid, any of the close-up shots, or any of the shots that were out of the water, amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. But any of the wider shots where they're swimming, it seemed to just flip from top-class CGI to, a Pixar movie from the late 90s. Yeah. And I was like, what is going on here? And then you said, well, maybe nearly as if they ran out of money, or
they just
they rushed it.
Yeah, or they're thinking, people are going to, end up watching this on their phone. I don't understand, because Spider-Man is the exact opposite. Even though there are different, see, as Spider-Man goes to different universes, some places are black and white, some are pixelated. There's all different backgrounds. A lot of them look like comic books, like not like cartoons, like comic books.
Oh, right, okay.
And so there's so much attention to detail to the background. As Gwen Stacy walks through her universe, everyone in the background is slightly blurred. They've thought so hard about this. This must have taken forever to do. And it's brilliant. And all the parents out there who are going, right, we have to be dragged to one of these, they're really in luck, because with both Little Mermaid, but especially Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, they're going to have a treat, because they're going to sit in and go, in 3 years or 2 years' time, when the sequel comes out, they're going to be the ones going, do you want to go to see that Spider-Man sequel? And they're going to, maybe the kid goes, no, I'm not really into superheroes anymore. You are? We're going. Because that's how good it is. It absolutely blew my mind. And I was predisposed to like it anyway. But I was sitting in the cinema watching it. This is my favourite part. Go 2 days before everyone else, sit in the cinema on my own in the big leather recliners, watching this. And just 5 minutes, it opens with a drumming sequence. And I went, this is absolute art. This is absolute art. Martin Scorsese hates superhero movies. He's going, show him this one. Oh, I'm really impressed.
Wow, okay. And this one is actually a sequel.
This is a sequel.
We had Into the Spider-Verse before, isn't that right? Which
kind of introduces the character and kind of the concept of the universe. But even if you hadn't seen that, it won't make any difference, because they're proper filmmakers and they realise not everyone has an encyclopedic knowledge of all the Marvel movies ever. Yeah. So there's stuff in there for it, but it doesn't exclude you. It doesn't push you away if you're not used to it. So it is a sequel, which I think is on streaming services. So it would be better to watch that one first, but it's not necessary. But I tell you one thing, if you haven't watched it before and you go to the cinema and see Across the Spider-Verse, you will go back and you will watch the other one, because you will be hooked.
Really?
I really think so. So.
Where do you think that's coming? Is it because it's so sort of all-inclusive, and because, as you quite rightly point out, the Marvel universe, the DC universe, they've got so big now and so intricate and complicated that there isn't really a jumping on point.
No,
except for the beginning.
Yeah, it's like going into Harry Potter chapter 7, and you go, who are these people? So they let you in, and it's the only one who's done this sort of multi-universe timey-wimey stuff that that all these different characters, and explained it properly. Look, do you know what it comes down to? Good story, likeable characters. It is as simple as that. But if that was simple, everyone would do it, and there wouldn't be a big writer's strike in Hollywood at the moment. About that's going. Anything, and ChatGPT can come up with a story, which we'll talk about in a minute. But to really hook people in, to hook someone in like myself, who's seen a load of these movies and gone, oh man, another superhero movie, and then 5 minutes in I'm going, this is one of the most beautiful, and I use that word on purpose, beautiful movies I've ever seen. There's something special there, and thought, care and attention. Like some of the records you play, because you play a lot of classic records. These are the ones people really tried hard for, and they weren't phoning it in the radio. Yeah. And this is one of those movies. This will be played in the classic movie section, because they weren't phoning it in. They worked hard, and when they looked at it and went, it's good, but can we make it better?
And I think probably, the film industry, it has fallen into this sort of trap where they do a little bit of market research and go, oh, this is what people want to see, right, let's make it as quickly as possible, as cheaply as possible, and get it out there. And instead of making a movie, they sort of do it, they set a release date, and they make a release date.
Yeah. Which brings us nicely to our next movie. Well done. It's like
king of the segue.
I have a little story to tell you. So, we were at an event, the Little Mermaid event, and first time I met you socially, and it was very nice. Although I was a bit disappointed that I was on the orange juice, but that's okay. But I thought I had to stand up and I introduced some of the upcoming movies. I thought I did okay, Rory. And then afterwards, I was talking to somebody I work with, and they said, yeah, people said, who's your man that talks so much, but yeah, he did okay. But there was one person, a lady called Fanula, who said, yeah, your man, what does he know about anything? He said, I'm 50 years old, and I have no interest in Transformers. And he said that about himself. And he goes, clearly he knows nothing about movies. Where is he on? I was on your radio station. But how come he has this fella talking about movies and he knows nothing about Transformers? So I want to supplicate myself down in Highland Radio, the most popular local radio station in the country, and say now, apologise profoundly to Fionnuala, because I am sorry. You were right. I prejudged Transformers Rise of the Beast, so it came out this week before I'd seen it, just because I hadn't really liked the others. And by haven't really liked, I mean hated most of them, particularly the second one, which is incredibly racist. But I prejudged it, and people should like what they like. We both like quite geeky stuff as well as broad stuff, and some people don't get it and they're dismissive of it, and you should never be dismissive of it, because people can like stuff, and people can like Transformers, a toy designed around about a release date to keep the intellectual property still going. He said he's not. So I felt sorry for that, and so I will apologise live on air to Fionnuala. I judged the movie before I saw it, so I went to see it last Wednesday. And it's rubbish. Okay. but she was right. I shouldn't have prejudged. And but if you like Transformers, maybe you'll like it. But I have to say, it's not as rubbish as the ones before. I didn't hate it. Okay. I was just, as you said, it's about, robots transform, and I can transform into this, and you just go, but why?
Yeah, so basically it's about Transformers doing what Transformers do. Yeah. It's about special effects.
Yeah,
very thin story thin on the ground.
Yeah, the special effects are good, but it's a prequel. So there's a big part of the story where somebody appears to die, and you go, but I've seen the sequels. They're in the sequels. Okay. So now there's a prequel. He's obviously okay. Yeah. Turns out he's okay. And that's not a spoiler, because you all know that. Now, would 8-year-old Collie and Rory love it? Probably, yeah. And it would be, and we'd want the toys, which, let's face it, is the point of this movie. But when it comes to imagination, it's just, if I'd seen Transformers and then Spider-Man, maybe I would have been fairer. But because I saw it in the order I saw it, you just kind of go, lads, come on, we could do better.
I'll be honest, back in 2007 when the original Transformers, the Michael Bay... Yeah. Well, maybe 4? Yeah. Stop. Yeah. But when the original Michael Bay film came out, I was blown away. I thought it was brilliant. It had a good story, good characters, amazing special effects. It ticked all the box, and it was just a great thrill ride from start to finish. Then they brought out Revenge of the Fallen, I think was the second one. Then The Dark. I fell off halfway through the sequel, and they just kept churning them out. I did not see back in 2007 that in 2023 we're still going to be talking about the latest Transformers, because it seems like nobody's really that bothered. Nobody asked for this. Nobody's really...
No, but if you have to keep them, probably making them to keep them in the public eye, so you can make the next one when you come up with a really good idea. Yeah. Because a lot of the rights to these movies are involved in making a certain amount you might be under contract, like record companies. Do you remember people before they left their record contract, they would do a best of, or they would do a reggae album of covers or something just to get out of the contract? I think there is a bit of that in this one. As I said, it's not the worst one, but Bumblebee, which came out a couple of years ago, was actually quite good. So you just kind of go, what if you'd spent had one less Transformer changing and given a writer, I don't know, 20 grand that it would
to actually come up with a decent story,
just a better story, or someone you like. But look, I started with an apology, right? And now I'm not only getting myself back into trouble, I'm going to get you into trouble too. I thought you might defend it. So no, Fionnuala, it's great. We love it.
Right. Yeah. And on that bombshell, we'll take a break.
Virgin Media Food.
By Collie McFadden live in studio. Why am I so echoey all of a sudden? Hold on. Wrong microphone. There we go. Yeah, okay. So we're talking movies. Greatest Day. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, we've been quite superhero heavy so far. Oh, which reminds me, we haven't mentioned The Flash, which we'll get to. But let's change tack for a little bit. So Greatest Days, is, I was going to say it's the Take That movie, but it's not really a Take That movie, in more so that it's like a Mamma Mia. It's one of those jukebox musicals. So it's a story about 4 or 5 girls who were, you know, huge Take That fans in the day, where they were the like number one, you know, teen idols and pay tax. And all of those times, and there was 5 of them, and they swore they would love the band forever. And then, you know, the band break up, and, you know, just like life, you know, the friends that you had in school that you will say is your best friends forever, life takes you in different paths, and then they sort of reform as adults, as Take That have reformed, and they want to go and see Take That. But all through the film, their songs come, and just like Mamma Mia, or I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a movie called Sunshine on Leith, which is the Proclaimers movie, along the same line. Yeah. Where people, suddenly somebody decides to get engaged by singing Let's Get Married, and somebody gets a letter from America and all that. I loved that one. It wasn't a big hit, but it was really nice. And that would be along the same lines. Somebody's going to, I would imagine, pray, and something will only take a minute. Girl, actually, let's move on quickly for that one. What that
absolutely.
Could be. So all the songs are through it. And Ireland's own Aisling B is one of the characters in it. I like her, and I think she's a great presence on TV, and she can sing. And they're singing the songs. I am sure Take That, or the 3 lads anyway, will turn up at some stage in the movie.
There'll be the obligatory cameo.
Yeah, but apparently it was a big success in Broadway. Okay. Or not Broadway, sorry, in the West End.
Yeah.
West End, very popular in the rounds of, you know, We Will Rock You, and obviously Mamma Mia and all those sort of shows. And look, here's the thing. I would be, you know, the cool music guy when I was growing up, I thought. But, like, I've always had a soft spot for pop bangers. I have seen the Spice Girls and Bewitched in concert, you know, and...
Oh, dear.
Yes, and I enjoy them. But I always thought, especially when they're starting off, and I was in my Nirvana phrase and all that sort of stuff, and I saw Nirvana live in concert too. And people would be dismissive of pop nonsense, right? And, like, it's amazing how many of the classics that you play, right? People at the time, the cool people will have said, oh yeah, nobody be listening to that in 5 years, because it was the disposable pop of its time. It's a classic now. Gary Barlow wrote some bangers. There is no doubt about it. They are great sing-along parties, sing-along songs. Might be quite ABBA level, but you put them on at a wedding and everyone's up on the floor and having a great time. And so it's going to be fun. And it probably is quite summery, isn't it? Go, especially now the cinemas are, you know, a bit posher, and you get a couple of glasses of wine and sing along to some Take That songs on it. Why not? I think it looks like fun. I hope it's fun. And I don't think it takes itself too seriously. Oh, somebody's like, there's definitely one of the gang isn't going to make it till the end, because that's how these movies happen, or something like that will happen. But it looks fun and light, and I thought especially some of our listeners would like that sort of music and will enjoy it.
Exactly. And as I said, you know, it is it's of its time. It'll appeal to a certain generation who now treat the music of Take That as classic. It's classic era.
Back for Good is a classic, Rory. I'm not going to convince you on this one.
No, definitely. But I do take your point on that, you know what I mean? And it is going to appeal to a certain audience, and probably a wider audience than you would expect.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so too. And I think people will, you know, there'll be mums dragging their daughters and that sort of stuff. And people go, oh, okay, I always knew, I grew up with this song. I was listening to this song when we were driving to the beach or driving to school. Mum insisted on play it, Take That's greatest hits, and now I like it too. That's the way music works.
And it'll make for a good night out as well.
Absolutely. I think this looks like fun.
Very quickly, very quickly, what are we going to talk about?
Okay, sum it up. The Flash, very quickly. The Flash opens on this Wednesday. So this is probably the last of this branch of DC superhero movies. And you go, oh no, another superhero movie. But the thing is, right, they were going to axe this one, and especially this as the star had gotten into a bit of trouble in his personal life, and apparently they looked at the movie, what had been made so far, and go, hang on, it's really good. Let's not throw this one out. Let's put it really good. And this is another different universe one, and they've brought Michael Keaton back as Batman.
And a big selling point.
Yeah, we're all, let's face it, we're all in. People of a certain age, I know how much older they are.
He was our Batman.
Yeah, exactly, and we're in for that one. So apparently it's great fun. It's got really good reviews. Probably is on the, you know, again, the geekier side of people who like these sort of things. But we've had a load of fairly rubbish and no fun superhero movies, like their Justice League and Batman vs Superman. Just no crack. This looks like good crack. It looks like fun. It looks spectacular on the big screen, and I can't wait to see it. I'm going to watch it on Monday morning, but for the rest of you, on Wednesday we can watch it.
Brilliant. Look forward to that. Finally, I was talking about it a little bit earlier on. Ghostbusters, 39 years since its release. and another sequel coming at the end of this year.
Oh, well, it can't be 39 years, because that would make me... I went to see it for my confirmation, so that would make me quite old. So
1984.
I don't think that is possible. Yeah, look, I thought it was the greatest movie. I feel the statute of limitations are probably gone. We had it on pirate video. It was the first one. I had it in pirate video before I had a video. Right? That's how it was, because it was the 80s and these things happened. I loved it. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I could quote it from end to finish. And, the sequels weren't good. Of the original Ghostbusters. I thought the last one was a fair, very affectionate attempt.
It was a love letter.
It was a love letter. Probably not a brilliant movie on its own, but for me, it brought back a lot of the good feelings and kind of made me forget Ghostbusters 2. I quite liked the all-women one, but it shouldn't be called Ghostbusters. It was a good story on its own. But it seems to be reeling back into the universe, and I'm quite hopeful for the sequel. Paul Rudd seems very excited about it, and so are we.
And a lot of the original characters seem to be on board to return as well, but they're not giving themselves a lot of time. This movie's due to release in December, and they're only shooting at the moment.
Yeah, it does. That would fill you full of fear, although these dates always change. You never know. And look, it might be something to do with the writer's strike as well, because certain projects have been put off because the writer's not ready. They probably go. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be talking about it at Christmas and we love it.
Okay, great. Collie, thanks so much for coming in this morning. Great to talk to you as always. And we are out of time. I will talk to you next Saturday morning, bright and early, 10 a.m. Michaela's on her way with a news update for you. Paul McDevitt's here with the Saturday Shuffle. I'll talk to you next Saturday morning.